Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you were with us last week in the first part of the series, thank you so much. Today we're in part 2 and we're talking about my college experience. So let's get into it. In 2015, I verbally committed to Old Dominion University to play college soccer during my senior year of high school. My college experience was anything but straightforward. It was a bit unorthodox, and this is the story of my ups and downs from committing to turning pro. Before I committed, the recruitment process was a grind, and it was filled with lots of adversity. But thankfully, all the work that I put in during my youth career, I was able to showcase myself enough to take the next step. Although I was committed, I still wasn't ready for the next level. I still had lots of work to do. I had a full season left with Nashville Soccer Club, and I decided to join the track and field team at my high school. This challenge that I gave myself, this adversity, allowed me to build my speed, endurance, and discipline to move on into the preseason. Having to convince myself day in, day out, go to track training, there's no ball involved, but when I was running through those lines, I wasn't seeing the orange track and the white lines. I knew everything that I was doing, all the groundwork I was putting in on that track and still going to club training was gonna help me and prepare me properly to go to preseason and go in flying. Shout out to Coach O'Reilly. Currently now he is a full-time private trainer. Anything having to do with track and field, he can help you out. But at the time, he was my high school coach, and he showed me the art of the sprint and just helped me mentally get through each day and coach me. And he believed that I had potential to do great things for the program and for myself at the same time and grow as an athlete, and that was the most important thing. So shout out Coach O'Reilly. In 2016, I made it official and I signed with Old Dominion. 4 days after graduating high school, I packed my bags and headed to Norfolk, Virginia. My next step was calling me really soon, and I was ready and I was excited, and that noise of senior year summer didn't bother me at all because I knew I was gonna be where I was supposed to be. And I remember back then, one of the big things of after graduating was like, oh, senior year summer is so lit, so fun, gotta be there. But unfortunately, or fortunately actually, which turned out for me, I wasn't gonna be there. I had to say bye to all my friends from high school early. That summer was all about preparation. I took 2 classes, went to captain's practices, and I trained with the strength and conditioning coaches. I knew I had to put in the work to get on the field and to get myself ready for the college level because it was a step up for sure from what I was dealing with. I knew I had played at a good level in high school, but I knew I was going to be playing with older players, guys who've been around the college game. Of course, a batch of freshmen around, but not all of them play. I wanted to be one of those that at least got some time on the field throughout the season. I wasn't concerned with playing every game, I just wanted time. And I knew that the work that I was putting in during that summer and the work that I put prior with the track and field and the youth foundation, all of this was leading to this moment so I can be ready to train, focus in, get there early, and then once the fall season comes around, I'm next center back up, if not fighting for a starting spot and putting the question in the coach's mind, can he play? Can I put a freshman at center back? Because it's different for putting a freshman at center back than putting maybe a freshman at forward. That's a little bit more responsibility, and when you're playing conference games and where you're playing higher level attackers, you want to get those results, and you got to be able to trust your back line and your keeper. I had a lot of fun during the summer session. The campus was pretty empty, only athletes there. It was a cool vibe. We got to bond with our teammates more, going to training, walking through campus, getting that university feel before all the students came in. That was a great experience. I got more bonding time with my teammates, and by the time the season came around, we were all good friends and we were ready to go to war. So yes, by the time the fall season came around, the work that I put in was enough to get me that next center back up spot. I even got touted Mr. Legs by one of the senior defenders. Hilarious nickname. I took it in stride at the time, It was probably because of my run form and long legs, and yeah, we did a good amount of full, they were called lappers, full field sprints, basically like a 400. You already know, a couple months before I was doing that. For me, it was just another day at the track, but now we're running on grass, even easier. All that work I put in before got me to that next center back up, regardless of we had a recruitment class of 10 plus players, half from Europe, half recruited from within the US. And there was 2 more defenders that were freshmen that I was competing with, let alone the other senior players from sophomore to even graduate students that I had to compete with. So I was able to get that next man up, and I was ready for that moment when it came. So my first major opportunity would come quick. 2 games in, after losing to UNLV the first game. Second game at home versus Stetson, University from Florida. I'm on the bench. We're tied. It's 1-1. Second half, I'm called upon. One of the sophomore center backs that was starting gets injured. Coach calls my name. I got to get a warm up in and get in there quick, because in these moments it's quick, but you always got to be ready. You're obviously there watching the game. You can't be in la la land, right? You're analyzing. You're seeing, okay, what can I do? What do I have to do? What is the guy that I might go in for doing right that I should be doing, and doing wrong that I can, improve on? So I was called upon, got in against Stetson around 60th minute or so. It goes into overtime because it's tied at 1-1 at the time. And during that overtime period, the other center back gets a straight red for a tackle. Actually, the same guy who gave me the nickname, Mr. Legs. Shout out Hutch, love you, man. Hope you're doing well. He gets a red card, so that almost guarantees, with a solid finishing performance in that game, that I will be starting next game. And thankfully, we were able to secure the draw, finish the double overtime, and finish with a 1-1 in my first college appearance versus Stetson. So that next game was another home game at home versus Loyola, Maryland. I would get the start, play 90 minutes, and we would secure a 2-1 win at home. After that point, I would go on to start 7 consecutive games before then being benched by a senior player that was a senior, also a defender. At the time, I thought he was more of a right back, but also could play. He was experienced. He could also play center back. And at the time, I was told I didn't do anything wrong. It was just the natural thing. Give the senior player a chance. It's his last season. Let's see what he can do. Can he prove himself? This is the thing you got to deal with, and what a coach has to think about. Giving guys opportunities, keeping the whole team happy. It's a difficult job. I don't envy it. I'm glad I'm a player, and I just got to focus on myself and helping the team, and what I can do to help the team be the best it can be. So I took it in stride. It was tough to take after, a solid 7 stretch run, some losses, some ties, but 2 solid wins to start things off. And I was, reasonably not pleased at the time, but I knew I was a freshman. I had to be humble in that moment. There was no reason to make a scene. Just put your head down. You've already proved yourself. You know that they can trust you. If you get called upon again, just be ready. That's the mentality you have to have, because anything else is just gonna bring you down and not help you. So my time on the bench wouldn't last too long. I only had to wait 3 games before I was called upon again, but this time in a different position. So against FIU, we're down 4-0 at home. On the bench, watching this game, you're looking around, 4-0, Gaffer's pissed, fans are silent. It's not the best game to be at, period, or as a home supporter, and to be on the bench watching. But close towards the end of the game, probably I had 15 minutes or left, 20 minutes left. But Gaffer calls upon me again, but this time he's taking out a striker and he puts me in and just tells me to do the job up top. And I'm like, all right, that's fun. I'll do that. We got 15 minutes, 20 minutes left. Just run as much as I can, try to win every header, hustle, try to score. All right, I'm down. So we get in the game, I'm hustling, we're sending long balls to me from the goal kick. I'm winning headers left and right, trying to put it behind. And eventually on a hustle play, I get out to the left side of the box, I put a cross in with my left, hits the guy's hand, whistle, PK, win a PK for the lads. Down 4-0 at home. Cheeky goal, 4-1 loss, so smiles on there, but I was pretty happy because I came in and I did something. So the next game, the Gaffer decides to start me in the last game of the season. Not the last game, sorry. The last conference game of the season, senior night. He starts me at striker against FAU at home, must win. Loser, season's done. Season's done right there. No conference tournament. We were kind of like neck and neck with FAU, and I think we were just above them or maybe tied on points, but it was simple. Whoever wins that game gets the last seed to the Conference USA tournament at Marshall University. It's our first start, I mean, at this level at striker in my life. I'm just going on pure raw emotion, and you know, I'm watching YouTube videos, hyping myself up, Zlatan videos, everything, trying to just hype myself up. And it was a tough game. I had some chances in that game, but didn't score in regular time. It was 1-1, I believe, going into overtime, and I was just telling myself, oh my God, I was pretty tired because I was just, the way I played striker, I was just go, go, go. There was no like, be savvy striker. No, I was like, I was just telling myself, like, I don't know why I had this much confidence at this moment in this game, but I was thinking, or maybe I was just trying to trick myself to think like the goal is gonna come regardless. You know, I think that's more what it was. I was thinking, what's my celebration gonna be when I score the game winner? The audacity, right? But the Frenchman comes in again, a ball from midfield, free kick, kicked in. I don't even think the defender rolls with me. I'm a couple yards in front of the 6-yard box, head it into the right side, hit the sturridge. That's what it was in my mind going into that OT. I think I saw recently Sturridge do it. I'm hitting the Sturridge. I don't care how I look. It's just gonna happen. And it did. Thank you, God, because that was, yeah, what a moment in my college career to end that season for the seniors on senior night. Keep the season going. I mean, that was, yeah, the vibes in that celly were unreal. And yeah, just big moment for me. And yeah, just confidence booster just in my overall footy career, because I proved to myself in that moment that I'm a footballer. I'm not just a center back. I can go up top, do a job, score a game winner on a rainy night. It wasn't raining. On a night in Norfolk, Virginia. So, like I said, that goal would qualify us into the Conference USA tournament as a 6th seed. We would then go on to play the number 2 seed, South Carolina, in the quarterfinals. The 1st seed got a bye. So we're playing South Carolina at Marshall because they're hosting the whole thing. That game, 18 minutes in, I score off a nice play from the Frenchman and Jimmy Filerman, left back. They get a 1-2. I make a movement in the box and I'm just open. The ball's perfect to me, right in the pocket. I just stand my ground, pass it. For a millisecond, I think I hit it too wide because it was like a outside foot curler. But with my inside, it was like outside curling, but just in, and I'm just like, just a rookie celly, like not even to the camera, just towards the benches, just hype. 1-0 up against South Carolina. We go 2-0 up in that half, and they end up scoring in the second half, but we seal the victory, qualify for the semifinals against FIU. And unfortunately, that's where we're gonna have to pump the brakes on this magical run. No goals in that game after 2 goals in 2 games. Yeah, FIU was a good team, man. They had we lost 2-0. This guy's playing in the MLS now. Paul Marie scored 2 goals. Quality player, another Frenchman. Yeah, that tournament, that league, that full season, I played against a lot of top players who went on to continue their career. And when I look back at that full season, my first season, I couldn't have asked for anything better. Ups and downs, on the bench, not on the bench, center back, a new challenge arise. It's not like I didn't have any striker experience, but not at this level. So that was fun. Okay, now this is where things take a turn. Fast forward to the spring season. Obviously, we finish the season, take finals, go home, holidays, come back. Spring season is not as many games, more classes. There's rules in the beginning where you can't train as much with the team, but at that point, after staying through the summer and the fall and now going into the spring, and after talking with my family in the holiday season, it was getting to be a bit too much, just being out of state, still having to pay. I was only awarded and blessed, I still am thankful for that, but 60% scholarship, athletic scholarship for my first year, and then along with financial aid, it still didn't cover the total amount for the school expenses. So it got a bit tough for my family to get through that season, even during the season. But we got to that point. Thankfully, I was able to have that full season. But by this time, I had to start thinking about what else could I do. And after talking with the assistant coaches, and getting a feel and confirmation from the head coach, it was clear that I wasn't going to get more, and that it might be better for me to go elsewhere. And that's what I ended up doing. It was unfortunate. It was a tough time after such a great first college experience, playing NCAA Division 1 in the South. Great stadium, great, near Virginia Beach. I mean, like, great place to do 4 years. I couldn't have asked for more. But things don't always work out the way you want, and you gotta move quick and adapt in those moments when you realize that you gotta take your talents elsewhere. So I did that, and fortunately I had some interest from one of the teams we competed against, Loyola Maryland, but another letdown and another drop in the story. It was a failed attempt at a transfer after being flown out while I was at ODU, being flown out, taken to a Yankees-Orioles game. I mean, they showed me the whole spiel. It was a great experience. Another, going back to the first episode, a team showing they want you, and they believe in your abilities, and they want you at their school. That's all I needed. That's all I ever asked for, and that was enough for me. So I committed, verbally committed to Loyola Maryland in the spring, while I was wrapping up my stuff at Old Dominion. But a month before I thought I was going in for the summer session, at that point, I got a call from the head coach, and he told me that they were unable to get me into the school. But I have no hard feelings, because I had to learn a lesson in that moment, and that was, nothing is set in stone unless it's written in stone or written on paper, written on a contract, legally binding. So that was a lesson I had to learn in that moment, and I could have waited and transferred in the fall or after the fall season, but that's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to play now. I wanted to continue to keep this momentum going. I want to be a pro. I want to be a pro. I can't stop this. So that would lead us to the next step in Europe. So the opportunity came up to play in Portugal, and I went out there and I trained for 3 months with 2 different teams. Valadares Gaia up north near Porto, and then in Coimbra, more towards the middle of the country, I trained with Academica U23 teams. So at the time, I was trying to get signed as a pro. That's what my intention of going there, that's what I wanted to do. My mom was fully ready to support me at the time. We were getting help as other places as much as we could with connections people we knew in Portugal that could help me out with eating at a restaurant and these little things here, and a place to stay, of course. But after the 3 months and I couldn't secure an actual salary and an actual signing of a team, just kind of on the periphery, not, having to maybe spend more time before I could get to that point, I reached a point after those 3 months that, after conversations with my family, that I was just becoming, again, like back in Old Dominion, that was becoming too much financially. I'm not coming from, lots of money here that can just bank me the whole time, like 1 year living, in Europe. That's a lot of money. So the 3 months was, although it was in the lifespan of things, it's a short period of time. Those 3 months were so impactful for me as just a human and as a footballer, because it's the first real time I'm going out solo traveling, having to, have all these new experiences. I'm 19 years old at this point, and just, grind. I would walk to training because I didn't have, a guy picking me up like on the way, or at first I didn't have those connections with the guys on my team to, see if they could pick me up. So I would walk a couple miles to training, no problem. At that point I was motivated, so motivated. I was out there doing it. All you gotta do is put some headphones in, and you're walking to training, no problem, and you're vibing, and you're just, because everything is new. Everything is beautiful. I mean, Portugal is a beautiful country. Some nice beaches. Valadares Gaia, there was a beach like I would run to, not too far from there, and the training was just next level compared to the structure of the training that I would get in the US. Like, this was very much tactically structured in the way that they wanted to play at the time, just growing my technical ability as a footballer. Regardless of the fact that it didn't work out for me and my family to stay out there and figure it out, and because it didn't work out in the first team, they decided to assign an older player, a more experienced center back, as opposed to a kid that played 1 season in college. Kind of makes sense. At the time I was like, yo, why not me, man? Come on. But, these are the things you don't understand when you're younger and you're just trying to play. It was very impactful 3 months, and after 3 months I had to pack my bags, and I grew up as a person, as an individual, and as a footballer for sure. So coming back, whatever was next for me, I was going to be ready for it for sure. I thought there was a chance that I might have been able to stay and continue to play and fight for my spot in the team at the time with Academica, where I was at. But financially, it was getting continuously hard for my family and my mom to keep helping me out there, and a lot of things play into surviving, taking care of a kid across the pond. So we were just, going there for another opportunity just to see it out. Not afraid to do so, but you got to be realistic in certain situations, and I was just continuously feeling the kind of like a grief, and putting pressure on my mom. That's not the way I wanted to do it. I knew that there were ways that I could do it way less stressful. After Portugal, I came back home and started working again and staying with my mom and just waiting for the next opportunity. Those months were crucial for me, just building my confidence back up, recovering from, leaving there and all the beautiful experiences I had there. But for me, it was, I'm not there anymore. Now I'm here. What's next? And thankfully, another coach connection that I built and garnered through my youth career helped me connect with Nashville Soccer Club, which was at the time was playing in the USL. They allowed me to come in for a couple weeks to train. At the time, I was thinking it's a trial. So I'm like getting ready, like this is my chance. But in hindsight, when I look back in the summertime where, you know, they were just having open cup games and, you know, they could have used, they already had a bunch of other college kids that they were training with them throughout the summer. So this was just part of, you know, bringing some other college kids to keep an eye on throughout. And I thankfully, through the connection, I got the opportunity to train with Nashville Soccer Club, and it was another great experience. Is those moments playing at a higher level, being scrutinized at a higher level, feeling that higher level of pressure to keep up with the level, is all things that in the journey play crucial steps in your mind. Like, I can do this, I can be here, they're no different than me, I belong here, you know? And you need that in your head to build the confidence. So on the day of the game, or on the day of the trial that you have in your mind, or the training with a big team, you're ready to perform and play just the way that you would play when you're training hard by yourself. You got to be able to bring that same energy, even a higher intensity now when you're competing for a spot. Or so at this point, I come back from Nashville. I spend another couple months at home working, doing the same thing. At this point, I still have no team and no, you know, solidified spot where I'm at. And at that point, I was open to anything, and going back to college was one of them. So I was hitting up all my friends on Instagram that I knew played in college soccer. Yo, does your team have space on it? Can you talk to your coach? Can I give you your coach's info? That's all I needed. And then I would contact myself. But eventually, after knocking on the door, the opportunity to transfer to Albany came, and that ended up being where I got my degree and finished up. So shout out Fonzie Pinheiro, Brasileiro. Appreciate you for connecting me with my eventual head coach, Coach Gorman, who gave me the opportunity to continue my collegiate career back in my home state. And it ended up being the perfect place for me to finish up and graduate. I would end up playing 2 seasons at Albany. Unfortunately, I had to forego my senior year due to the COVID-19 epidemic. So instead of coming back after the epidemic, after the season was canceled, and using that year of eligibility, I decided during that time I'm gonna take a couple more classes. I even had to send a letter to the dean of students to allow me to take this amount of classes, just so I can finish up my credits in this time and graduate by December 2020, which is, I just wanted to move on. I was like, oh, we're not playing? Okay, let me finish school so I can keep moving on. This is not where I wasn't attached to the senior year season, just like I wasn't attached to the senior year summer. I just want to get to the pro level. So if I can finish this now, let's get it done. And thankfully, I was able to get it done. I was actually on the dean's list for my last semester. The only time I've ever gotten the dean's list in my whole college career was that last semester. You could say maybe the online classes helped, but you know, I think I just put in the work that year to finish up. But yeah, it was a great moment of pride for me and my family, just being the first generation graduate, first one going to a college of that size, that stature, Old Dominion, University at Albany, both big schools. And then being able to graduate was definitely a defining moment for me, just solidifying, closing that chapter of, you know, academics in college, and now I can move on to the next step of my career. But it wouldn't come with a little special cherry on top for graduation. I didn't have a graduation ceremony in December 2020, but they allowed, because of the COVID-19 epidemic, they allowed those graduates to also be a part of the ceremony in May of the following year. And yeah, my beautiful mother, who I would not be here today. I would not have been in that position at that time without, because she was the one supporting me this whole time. She, because I was a bit preoccupied, she was the one to accept my diploma and go to Albany in that time period and accept my diploma for me and have the whole experience. And for me, it was fitting that she got it. Just having raised me and my sister, who would soon follow to graduate 2 years after me, it was just an amazing thing for our family to get that done, and we can all move on from those steps in our life. And for my mom to be out there, and we got Albany Times, or Student Press. We had some pages. I'll put that up on this. Had some coverage of the whole moment. It was a beautiful thing for forever memories. These things you cannot replace, and it was a beautiful cherry on top. That's my college story, full of great moments and lessons that shaped me. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you if you were with us in part 1. Appreciate you now if you're with us in part 2. We're gonna have the finale, Turning Pro. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Kyosphere.